This is Salesforce Simplified, the podcast from Victoriam Solutions. Here's your host, Mike Boyle.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Victoriam Solutions Salesforce Simplified podcast. Hey, before we begin and get into today's episode, I wanted to mention something really exciting. This Victoriam Salesforce Simplified podcast is now also available on Amazon Music. That's right. If you're an Amazon customer and you already know that you have the Amazon Music, well, you can get us now on the web at Amazon Music or download that iOS or Android app and listen to us on Amazon Music if that happens to be your preferred podcast provider. All right, so this episode is solely dedicated to us talking about several of the Salesforce Winter 21 release highlights that our consultants have handpicked to highlight. And joining us today to talk about some of those highlights is Victoriam consultant Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Great to have you. So let's go right into this. Specifically, we've selected for this podcast 7 highlights from the Salesforce Winter 21 release. And we've asked you here today to talk a little bit about each of them. So let's start with the first one, which is the one that's called Break Up Your Record Details with Dynamic Forms. What's so cool about that one?
So I'm glad we're leading with this one. This is probably the most exciting release, in my opinion. I think every admin out there knows the pain of requirements surrounding fields on pages. So prior to this update, you really had to set up a new record type to have page layouts, and you couldn't really be as dynamic based on the viewer as what Salesforce is looking to implement in the coming Winter 21 release. So you'll be able to say, for user A, I want them to see these details, but user B should see a different set of details. So this is really exciting because before you were limited in how you could go about this, but now it'll be more readily available for you to customize on a person-by-person basis. But I do want to note that this is sadly only coming to custom objects in Winter 21, so you'll still have to wait before you can apply these custom dynamic forms to the standard objects such as accounts, contacts, opportunities, etc.
Moving on to the next Salesforce Winter 21 release highlight we've selected, optimize the opportunity scoring model.
Yeah, so this is a big one for customers utilizing Einstein Analytics. Before this update is pushed out and becomes available, if you wanted to ignore certain records and ignore fields from your opportunity scoring model within Einstein Analytics, you previously would have had to open a ticket with Salesforce support. With this update, this will just become a standard feature in the system, and you won't have to open those tickets. But Salesforce has stated in the release that they will support any customizations they did for you. Hopefully down the line, they want you to use the standard functionality. Nevertheless, always exciting when the power is put into your own hands.
This next one, the third one here on the list of 7, I think is going to really appeal to sales managers especially. It's called Find Changed Deals at a Glance. What's inside that one?
Absolutely. You already hit the nail on the head. Sales managers are truly going to love this one. I can't tell you how many times I've asked, well, it's great that someone made an update to the opportunity, but I need to be able to see that without going into the record. Look no further than this highlight, as you'll be able to see from a list view. So all of your opportunity records, anything that's been changed will highlight for you, show you the previous values. In addition to that, if you utilize Salesforce forecasting, you'll now have the ability to update the sales stages there and see how they've moved across. And if you're using the Kanban boards specifically, you'll now have the previous values highlighted. So as your deals are moving through their stages and you're trying to stay on top of your pipeline, you'll just have more insight just at that at-a-glance level without going into the record. So exciting stuff here.
Number 4 on the Salesforce Winter 21 release highlights is titled Apply Audiences to Record Detail Pages with Record-Based Criteria. That's a mouthful.
It is. So this actually ties into the first highlight that we covered, the dynamic forms. In a community, which is going to be external facing, generally speaking, there's a lot more requests around the customization. This is looking outside. You really want to make sure that it's cleaned up for any new external viewers. And so Salesforce with the Winter 21 release will now allow you to utilize audiences, so specific groups of external users, and target the record detail pages within the community to get a little more dynamic there and really get some more flexibility and customization than what you were able to do previously.
Next on the list is one that's going to be of interest to folks who use Salesforce surveys. It's called Display Survey Pages Based on Your Data. What does that one do?
So this is a really cool feature in making Salesforce surveys more dynamic. If you've ever worked with a screen flow, essentially now you can turn your Salesforce survey into what is a simplified screen flow. You won't be able to go query the database for extra information, but as the recipient is filling in their data, if you say, hey, they answered yes to the first 3 questions, so on the next page, we can skip the next couple and just output them at the end to enter their information. You'll now be able to do that and really create a guided path for the recipient of your surveys.
Number 6 on the list is one that folks who use field service are going to be excited about, and it's be more efficient with the Actions Launcher redesign. What's inside that one?
So this is probably the release I'm most passionate about, as I work a lot with the field service app. So in this release, Field Service Lightning has been rebranded to just Field Service. We've dropped the Lightning, but we've kept the functionality. In this update, in this highlight specifically, essentially there were some big differences between whether you were accessing the Field Service mobile app on an iOS device or an Android device. And their goal with this is to provide a more unified experience across those, which if you're managing an organization utilizing field service, you already know the headache it can be to say, okay, so you're running into this issue, but which device are you on? It's before you can even start kind of working towards a resolution or doing training. So it's really exciting to see that Salesforce is committed to standardizing the experience across the mobile devices.
Well, you brought it up, Lightning, and number 7 on our highlights list, and the last one for this go around. Analyze your Lightning page performance. Tell us about that one.
I didn't even plan that, I promise. But the Lightning page analytics will essentially let you get some insight into how you can improve your page loading speed. A lot of people that have moved over from Classic into the new Lightning experience, I think the most common sort of complaint about it will be the loading time. And many times that's not a result of the Lightning page itself. It's a result of how someone has customized it. And so Salesforce, in an attempt to help people optimize the pages and really just generally improve them, will now offer in-app guidance. So when you go to adjust a Lightning page, if there's anything on there that might cause the performance to be degraded, it will call it out. That's not to say you have to remove everything it might suggest, but if you are commonly having requests from users saying, hey, I want to just go open my record, but it takes a long time, is there anything we can do about it? Now Salesforce is providing some guide rails and a path for you to easily identify what might be causing those performance issues.
Well, there you have it. We've picked 7 of the highlights from the Salesforce Winter 21 release. I want to thank you, Aaron, for taking some time out today to give us some great insight to these. As you know, and most folks out there know, Salesforce does these releases 3 times a year. So I'm looking forward to having you back when the next release comes out. How about you?
Oh, yeah. I'd be more than happy to join. So definitely looking forward to that one.
Excellent. Thanks again, Aaron. And if you would like to learn more about Salesforce's Winter 21 release, you just visit our Salesforce blog on our website. It's at victoriamsolutions.com. And what I'll do is I'll put a direct link to the Winter 21 release blog. It'll be in this show's notes. Hey, I'm Mike Boyle from Victoriam Solutions. Thank you for joining us for our latest Salesforce Simplified podcast. And if you like what you heard, be sure to tell your friends to subscribe to the podcast on their preferred channel. And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, we really would appreciate a 5-star review for today's episode and any of the episodes that you listen to. That all just helps us get the word out about our podcast. And again, we really appreciate that. And a reminder that you can find us, our big news this week, find us now, this podcast, Salesforce Simplified, on Amazon Music. You'll find it on the web. You'll find it in the iOS or Android apps. So thanks again. Our next episode of Victoriam Salesforce Simplified is just around the corner.
You've been listening to Salesforce Simplified, the podcast from Victoriam Solutions.